Hi, I'm Justin Tyler from Songspotters.com, and you're listening to the Two Guys Talking Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Green Gab. We are here gabbing about rocking it in green. Green homes, green living, and green companies. Get in on the gab for why green matters to you, your family, your friends, and your community. And I am Marla Esser, the Green Home Coach. I am so excited to be here. And today I have my partner in intellectual crime. You asked for it, buddy.
I love that term.
This is Tony Pratte. Tony is with the Sound Room, and we both work and play and interact with what used to be known as our Green Building Council. But what's it called now, Tony?
It is the Advanced Building Science and Technology Committee.
Better known as?
ABSTAC.
ABSTAC. We all get on the joke about the duck, but
we do not have a duck as a mascot. We need to get one.
We need a
though.
mascot.
I think we do.
Frog.
It's not easy being green.
Exactly. Kermit the Frog. There you go. As you can see, Tony and I have, I guess you can't see, but you can hear. Tony and I have a lot of fun together, and we've just really found that we have a like-mindedness. We both love inspiring and educating people, and after knowing each other for several years, we've really had a lot of fun getting some things started this year.
We really have.
We started a workshop series this year, Elements of Green, which kicked off, when did we kick it off?
We kicked that off in January.
Yeah.
That's right. January was our first program. We started putting it together in November.
I guess so.
We had kind of talked about doing some things together, and the whole idea was, let's do a program. Education of how to use automation to live a greener life. And during our conversations, it was like, okay, well, after this one, what's next?
And now we're going this next week to the home show.
Yep, St. Louis
So we're
Home
taking our
and Garden
workshop live, and we're actually going to be doing green tours. We're going to be based in the Sound Room's booth. What are you, 15,
come see
12?
us at booth 1512.
And 11 a.m. and 3 p.m., and we're going to take folks on tours of green products and services that are going to be at our home show here in St. Louis. So St. Louis Home and Garden Show at America's Center. And if you are not in St. Louis and you don't want to get on a plane or drive here and come visit us, although we'd love to have you, check out your own shows in your own cities and areas, because this is home and garden show season. And late winter and spring just seem to be chock full of them everywhere I look. But our show's really gotten quite large this year. I'm impressed.
Well, it's always been one of the larger ones. For the longest time, and I think it still is, it's the largest home and garden show in North America.
Oh, I didn't know
here in
that.
St. Louis. Yeah,
Wow.
always has been. The St. Louis Home and Garden Show, sponsored by the St. Louis Home Builders Association, has always been known as one of the largest in the country. And it is just a wealth of resources. I know a lot of customers over the years, they always sit and tell themselves they're going to do one project around the house. So what they do is they go to the Spring Home and Garden Show, walk around, find out what they want to do, and then off they go.
Well, and in the green world these days, that means you can do a lot of things. I know through the conversations you and I have been having over the past few years, one of the things we really discovered is that green didn't need to be this way out there thing.
Correct.
And as I've gotten to know what y'all can do better with home automation and technology, and I've gotten a lot better educated from you, thank you.
You're welcome.
It's amazing to think, you can just, behavioral changes can make a huge impact. Different choices can make a huge impact.
True.
And then, of course, you can automate all that.
Well, and the nice thing about most houses today, whether it was built 10 weeks ago, 10 months ago, 10 years ago, 40 years ago, 60 years ago, whatever, there's systems that you can do. You don't have to do everything at once. It's made to easily retro to where you can automate a lot of those functions and features. So you are being a little bit more conscious on your energy usage or, helping to decrease your carbon footprint. They're very simple to do. You can do anything from go to a Home Depot to get a Nest thermostat and put it in yourself.
I have a Nest.
And isn't it great?
I love my Nest.
I love Nest because it does integrate and play well with some of the controlling systems that we use, which allows you to tie in everything together. Talking with Mike Chance over at Velux Skylights, one of the things in our wheelhouse for the future this year is to get it to where the skylights that he puts into the houses can communicate with the controller or the brain of the house that we put in, which will also interface with the thermostats like the Nest thermostat. So thermostat says, hey, it's X in the house. Boom, skylight pops open. That way fresh air comes to the house. and you never even think about it.
Ruh-roh, Rastro.
Exactly.
This is back to the Jetsons
It is
stuff.
the Jetsons. Well, the idea is houses today really are more than just a home.
Yep.
They are technological ecosystems. And the idea is to make sure that everybody and everything that you're using in that system talks. And if it talks, it interacts. If it interacts, you don't think about it. And by you not having to think about it, you're going to live a greener life.
Well, and I'm so influenced right now. I'm working with so many more people that are in the millennial generation and that kids are millennials. Yeah, guys, I'm older than I sound, I hope. But they grew up with a cell phone in their hands, or better yet, a portable computer in their hands, and they expect totally different stuff.
Think about the millennials. There's a stat, 65% of them have never plugged in a computer into a jack in a wall.
Oh, for an internet connection.
Yeah, they don't even know what that is.
I used to always carry a cable, and I don't anymore.
Right. It's a generation that doesn't know what a dial tone or a busy signal is.
True.
They just, these are things they don't experience. How many times have we watched a mother hand her phone over to her 3-year-old son or daughter, basically have the section for the child all up and running, and the child just entertains themselves with the phone. They know exactly where to go, what to do. They just take care of themselves. They're not scared of technology.
No, they're not. And the older generation, I think it's kind of the in-betweeners that are still trying to figure out how much they allow technology and how much they don't. I think what's so much fun is, I'll be in one of the coffee shops or something, and I'll see all these grandmother and grandfather looking types sitting around on their phones. And it's hysterical. My mom, my dad, they're all on their phones. And they're checking the weather, they're texting, they're communicating with the grandkids and with their friends. They're doing all kinds of stuff. And I don't know that necessarily that generation has thought about controlling their home with their cell phone, with their smartphone. But I do think that if you handed it to them and said, this is what you do, they're comfortable enough now that it's not going to be a big deal.
Absolutely. And what you're experiencing, this is the influence of the younger generation. They're showing grandma and grandpa all the fun, cool things you can do now. But since that generation hasn't got to the point where they're building their own house or they're living in a more technologically advanced house, they don't even know it exists yet. So chances are they haven't got that to the grandparents.
That's changing, though.
It is
because
changing.
Baby boomers are driving the green building movement, actually.
It is. It is changing.
Yeah.
And when you have builders that work with companies like ours, that's part of the process. So those homeowners are coming in as they're building the house and they're being asked, how are they going to live in that house? What kind of technology are they using? So from the ground up, they get to experience a little different situation than they did when they first built a house, in the 80s or 90s.
Yeah, a real different experience now. But man, oh man, can you do some fun things now?
Oh, you can.
It is definitely fun. Hey, we're going to take a quick break here, and I'm excited to keep picking your brain because you're giving me all sorts of great ideas for my next house.
Oh, God. Just please leave a little bit left for me later.
Okay.
This episode is sponsored by April Air. You can find them at APRILAIRE.com. They have whole house products such as air purifiers, humidifiers, dehumidifiers, ventilation, and thermostats. They control for total comfort.
Hi, this is Art Maines from Scammercast.com, where we educate, inform, and protect our elders and those who care for them on the Two Guys Talking podcast network.
Welcome back to Green Gab. We are gabbing today, or I am, with Tony Pratte from the Sound Room, and I'm Marla Esser, the Green Home Coach. Tony, oh my gosh, you and I have such awesome conversations about all kinds of things, not just green stuff, just things.
I think if somebody actually taped our conversations, they would just sit there and think, what is this? A comedy show?
Yeah, there you go. We'll just be the Tony and Marla show.
Sometimes it's a little intellectual. Sometimes it's very cartoonish. You just never know what you're going to get with us.
You definitely are my intellectual conversation person. You're my go-to on that.
Everybody needs somebody.
I know. I love it.
I like being that, though.
That's good. It's good. I've enjoyed it a great bit. And I love what we create when we talk. And part of what you and I really found that we had some opportunities to do some things around was I am very passionate about helping women to understand their homes better, how to get what they want out of their homes, and also supporting the whole idea of green and energy efficiency, Because it makes the home better.
Oh, sure.
And then when you and I really started getting to be friends, what I discovered is that you had the same passion.
Absolutely. Demographics are changing no matter what, whether it's who goes to college, who gets advanced degrees. Women are becoming more and more in the forefront. And even in the construction industry, it's no longer the good old boys club like it used to be, even though there's
a good old girls club now too.
Exactly. There's still a segment of the market that, hangs on to that belief that, oh, it's a man's world, blah, blah, blah. But that's just, we're not seeing that anymore.
It's changing rapidly.
It is changing rapidly. More women are taking into the construction industry as careers, whether it's working for builders, having a person like Ava Walsh over at Payne Family Homes. She's vice president of construction. She's in charge of all construction.
And she rocks. Oh,
exactly.
My. Eva, we're inviting you on the show too later.
She would be a good guest.
I know. I love what Eva does. Part of the thing that's so cool about getting to work with women like Eva is me being a part and you guys being a part of the Professional Women in Building Council, which is right here in St. Louis, but it's also a national council that we work through our home builder associations on. The women I have met through that, and the men too, but the whole idea of helping women to connect and to move forward in their careers and professional development, personal development in the building industry has really been cool. And I am just fascinated with what makes women tick, what makes women want to come into the industry. And it's really been amazing. I've just had some amazing experiences with it. I've met wonderful people. I continue to meet wonderful people. I actually get to travel around the country some and meet people in different parts of the country with that. And what I love is that you guys are so a part of that. I mean, you guys are a part of the Professional Women in Building Council. One or more of you is pretty much at all of our big meetings, and I love that.
Well, we like to support all the different councils in the HBA, but, there's a special place in my heart for the PWBC.
A lot of acronyms.
Very few people know this, but I was the editor for your charter.
Oh, I did not know that.
As that was being written for the presentation to go in front of the board of directors.
There you go.
It came to me, and I changed the language on it to keep it from being a little bit passive, in my opinion, to, look, we're doing this, get on board or get run over.
Yeah.
And that was the whole part of, I was still writing papers for grad school and everything else, so I was already used to seeing all this, and it was, you need to change the language to say, get on board or get left behind.
Wow. Impressive. Thank you for doing that, by the way.
Oh, you're welcome. I had fun doing it.
Okay, so you bring up a thought, something I wanted to ask you, by the way. I've gotten to know you much better over the past few years, but tell me something that most people don't know about you. And it's got to be okay to talk about on the air.
Oh, well, of course. Let's see. A few things. I love education. People joke I kind of collect degrees and certificates and all that.
And where are you now?
Let's see. Well, I did my undergrad at St. Louis U.
Okay.
Majored in economics. Went to Wash U to do my graduate studies in economics. About every decade or so, I get a little bored and restless, and that happened in about 2010. I decided I need a little bit more education, so I'm almost finished with my master's in environmental management and sustainability from Harvard. And
Harvard? Wait a minute. We're in St. Louis. How are you doing that?
Harvard has been a leader in distance education for over 100 years. They have phenomenal programs. I can do most of my studies here, but I do have to graduate a set number of classes I have to take up there.
You'll go walk and graduate and everything?
Oh, yeah.
With heart? Oh, my, that's awesome.
It's going to be a monumental experience for me. But while I was doing that, I also have a certificate in energy management and emerging technologies from Stanford.
Man, you wow.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to say. I am rarely
this brain
speechless,
up here
Tony.
Is full of a lot of, as my friends like to say, useless knowledge.
I see I've selected an intellectual conversationalist well. That explains a lot. So
I guess.
I knew about a few of those, but I actually didn't know about Stanford.
Yeah, that was just a 4-class deal. What was really cool about it was, you really grasp the full concept of solar and everything else when you're working on your master's in sustainability and environmental management and all that. But taking a class from Stanford on the engineering of the solar cell was just phenomenal. So that's really what that whole program gave me, was the engineering side of it. Now, I'm not going to be one that's going to go out and design a panel, but I understand how it works. And I understand it a little bit better than most people think I do. The whole blonde hair and all.
Yeah. The blonde hair thing, huh?
That's exactly right.
I think there's definitely a lot to be said for understanding how something works. And I'm an engineer by training, at least. I have a degree in it. And I never became a professional engineer, but understanding how things work helps you to translate to layman's person's terms.
Oh, absolutely.
So much better.
You need to be able to, especially in our field, we have to talk with so many different people, whether it's
definitely.
the builder, the superintendent, the tradespeople working on the house, the interior designer, the real estate agent, and last, most importantly, the homeowner.
Yep.
And if you can't be able to translate what you're trying to do to each specific subset of people involved in that project, nobody's going to know what's going on.
Well, and then you've got women that translate information one way, typically, not always, but typically, and men that do typically translate it a different way. And you've got conversations about results and process, and you've got to figure out how that all works and how it all comes together. Being a good translator and a good connector really can make a big difference. And I know that was something that I really felt my engineering education gave me. Definitely.
And I can understand that. For me, it was great to have the business side of things with economics, because you can understand the opportunity cost of not doing something that more of a green project. You understand the health benefits to the house, the payback, the lower utility bills. So you can explain all that to somebody without just saying, well, it's the environmentally responsible thing to do.
Right. Why does it matter to you?
Exactly.
What's in it for you? And I know it's a lot easier if you understand how something relates to you personally, your family, and then the bigger world. It just seems to make a lot more sense. So kudos to you for taking that direction. I think that's definitely the way we're starting to see a real trend in how people are talking about
Oh,
things.
absolutely.
Well, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back in just a few minutes.
This episode is sponsored by Bryant Heating and Cooling. You can find them at Bryant.com. Find where convenience meets real savings. The new Housewise Wi-Fi thermostat from Bryant makes any heating and cooling system smarter about energy savings. Start saving today. It's time to be smart. It's time to get Housewise.
Wouldn't it be cool if your advertising could last forever? It can, with perpetual advertising. Here's how it works. Magazine, radio, and television ads are efforts that people might see or hear once, and then they're lost forever. Perpetual advertising provides you with the chance for repeat exposure and replayability weeks, months, even years after it's originally inserted inside a podcast. So even if your advertising is included in a podcast years ago, those efforts are still impactful, providing you with true return on investment, real impact, thanks to perpetual advertising. Are you ready to change the way you and your company or organization advertises? Find out more and launch a unique perpetual advertising effort now by visiting twoguystalking.com/sponsors.
Welcome back to Green Gab. Hey, get in on the gab for why green matters to you, your family, your friends, and even your community. I'm Marla, by the way, and I'm here with Tony still. You're still around, right?
I'm still around. Not going anywhere for at least another 9 minutes.
Tony, every time we have a conversation, I just find it to be so much fun, and I learn so much from you. Not just about green stuff and home automation and technology, but just about the world at large. And I now see why, with all your many varied degrees and studies. I see that I have a lot of tapping to do still over the years.
Oh, great. Can I take all that back?
Too late. In for a dime, in for a dollar, right?
That's right.
Hey, I wanted to really kind of get a chance to talk a little bit with you about how you take what you know, now that we know how much you know, how you take what you know and use that to impact your clients and your community. Where do you see that going?
Well, basically, my biggest job is to go out to the construction community and kind of educate them on, hey, it's no longer 1979. There's new ways of building houses. These are the things people are starting to expect. And my vision of where that community is going is probably within a year or two, you're going to have a total line across the board of you're either a high technology builder or a low technology builder. There is no middle ground. You're going to be one or the other. And once you start kind of bending the technology curve, to kind of quote the old healthcare conversations, once you start to bend that curve, it's just natural. Everything else is going to follow in its place. Conversations I have with builders today is a lot different than I had a year ago, which was way different than 2 years ago.
I echo that. Yeah.
So, I mean, this is just kind of the way it's coming. I always joke, it's very hard to turn an aircraft carrier, but once you start to turn it,
It keeps going.
there's only one way for it to go.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's our market.
That's true.
I have a big passion for a lot of environmental aspects. A huge passion of mine is water.
Okay.
Just, if I ever need to think, I go down to the banks of the river, grab my camera. It's just a place I understand, a place I like. I also know it's because where we live in 50 years, that water is going to save St. Louis. We just don't realize it. But to me, I believe that there's always a better way of using our resources, using our technology to live a healthier life, to provide for a healthier environment for children, our coworkers, our family members. And if I can take that knowledge that I have gained and share that to the built environment, well, to me, that's starting to turn the aircraft carrier.
Yeah, it's funny. I echo some of those same words myself. So it's kind of amazing that when you put it out there, you start surrounding yourself with like-minded people and people that want to share it. And we get an opportunity to go create more people that at least they don't necessarily have to be like-minded, but they will at least entertain it. And it starts to help them to understand how they can think a little bit differently.
Well, you joke, every journey starts with the first step.
Yep.
Every movement starts with the first couple people.
Yep.
The more people that get engaged in the conversation, the more momentum the conversation has.
That's so true. Well, and all the research is showing right now that the green building wave, we're hitting the curve in the hockey, what do they call that? The hockey stick curve.
The hockey blade, yeah.
And they're predicting that within literally a few years, up to what? I think it was 60% of the builders are going to be building some way, shape, or form green.
Oh, I would
energy
believe
efficient. So it's coming fast. And it's interesting to watch how much people are already doing in the way of green features and implementing things, higher efficiency, heating and cooling units, all kinds of features. But I'm also astonished at how many builders don't talk about what they're doing. That surprises me.
Well, and some of them, one, they're either set in their ways, and to them, it's not really green. It's just a better way of building.
Right,
Why
right. Better
doesn't
building
everybody do
practice.
this?
Right, exactly.
So they don't even think of it that way. They just think, well, I always thought this is the best way to do it, so that's why I'm doing it. A lot of it's being pushed by codes.
That's a whole separate discussion.
Yeah, those builders that have really kind of embraced advanced building systems and advanced building science,
Right.
They don't worry about codes because what they do is already above the codes.
Right, exactly. A great place to go see some of this stuff is
St. Louis Home and Garden Show,
which is coming up here in St. Louis, obviously. You and I are going to be hosting some green tours there.
Yes, we'll be having our Elements of Green program. Instead of doing an actual program with a speaker, we are doing 2 tours. We're meeting at the sound room booth, and from there we'll go visit some of the different vendors that are going to be showing their wares at the home show. Places like GeoComfort, so we can see geothermal.
Straight up solar.
We can look at some solar panels, things like that. So it should be educational and a little bit more interactive than just the speaker.
So I've been calling the places we're planning on stopping, and they're all really excited about it. Matter of fact, I've already had a couple say, well, how much do we need to pay to get in? And I'm like, ooh, we may have to think about this differently next year.
We still have to do some of these things,
I love the opportunity
service.
to do it. And I'm thrilled to have the opportunity to connect with these folks. And I think in the words of Matt Belcher, who is also on our Advanced Building Systems Committee with us, rising tides raise all boats.
That is true.
And that is definitely what we see going on in the green community. And I really see a recognition that it's becoming more mainstream and people aren't as put off by, oh, green, that's out there. It's this recognition that there's a lot of health and safety and comfort factors that we all want in our homes and in our lives. Green just happens to be a path to get there.
Well, and that's absolutely right. I mean, if you look at part of my studies at Harvard, we get the speakers that come in from the School of Public Health, and they talk about air quality and the effects of air quality on houses.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So if you look at more of the greenhouses, ventilation's better. The air quality is better. You're using less fossil fuel, so the emissions
and great here
play
for
into,
asthma and allergies,
exactly.
right? Yeah.
The idea is if you create a healthier house, you're going to have healthier lives.
Yeah, I am so in for that one. And I was really astonished. So I'm going to segue back to the home show. What was so cool when you and I started this was how many companies we found that had some representation in not only green and energy efficiency, but also repurposing. You know, there's a piece people don't think about, or durability, you know, how long things last, you know, something that has a lifetime guarantee, for instance. So there's all different factors that play into this. And I love the fact that we're bringing some things to bear that give people an opportunity to see that. So
I would agree with that. And
hope
you know,
people will join us.
It's just the longer the conversation stays in front of mainstream, the stronger it's going to get, the more traction it's going to get.
Yep.
Where eventually what's going to happen is you're going to have builders that they don't even talk about building green because that's just building the best way.
Yep.
And if you're not building that way, you're kind of working your way out of business.
Yep, it'll just be the way we build. Hey, Tony, you and I could sit here forever and talk.
We have in the past.
We have in the past. This is true. Hey, if anybody out there wants to continue the conversation, learn more about the home show or Tony or what we're talking about, you can email me at marla@greenhomecoach.com. Find me on Facebook, on LinkedIn. I'm a number of places, as is Tony. Join us at the home show. We'd love, love, love to see you there. And everyone, just have a great day, and thanks for being here.
All right. Thanks for having me, Marla.
Uh-huh.